So today we're going to be taking a look at the Ubiquiti CloudKey, which is a hardware device that you can add to your home network setup to help manage and control Ubiquiti products from anywhere in the world, basically. So if you are watching this video, you probably have some type of Ubiquiti product in your home, most likely some type of Unifi device. They're pretty popular right now, especially in the prosumer market. And you may be wondering, how can I control this a little better? As you may well know, the access points and the other Unifi devices are really great devices, really great prosumer and enterprise devices, but they require a controller to really get the most out of them, not only to set them up, but to also manage them long term. So you can do that a couple different ways. Some folks will use a software controller, which is what I did when I installed my access point. I went onto my MacBook Pro and I downloaded the software controller, and then I got a new MacBook Pro and I forgot to transfer the software controller. So what ended up happening there was all of my network devices, especially my access point with all the settings and everything that were on it, I couldn't do anything with it because I didn't have the same software controller. I had to set up a new software controller. But as soon as I adopted the access point over to my new software controller, it erased all my settings. So cue a 2 in the morning mad scramble through my house, making sure that I got everything set up appropriately on all my different networks. So I said, you know what, looking here at the CloudKey, it's retails for $106, and what it does is it allows you to have a dedicated hardware device to manage your Ubiquiti products in your network from anywhere. You can manage it from your browser. You can manage it from smartphone apps, from tablet apps. You can manage it over Wi-Fi or through, a landline, cellular connection, what have you. You can manage this wherever you're at and check on some of the stats of your network, check on your network's health. So I went for it. So just a little quick overview here. We're on the Ubiquiti website right now. It talks about all the features that you can get with this, and this is important to note that by default this device expects to be powered over Ethernet, so it does not come with electrical cord and or adapter. So if you don't have a PoE switch or a PoE injector that you want to utilize for this, you are going to need a 5-volt 1 amp. Double check the specs for that for me, YouTube, but you're going to need a very small USB charging brick to USB, so USB-A to USB-C, which is going to be on, as you can see here, that's what's going to be on the Unifi controller. So it does do power over Ethernet though, so it does PoE, which is great. It's a pretty small size. The newest version has USB-C and an SD card slot. It does come with an SD card, more on that in a little bit. And it talks about, plug and play installation. It just kind of works after quick setup. So let's go ahead and talk about the setup. I'm going to overlay some video here of where I have my CloudKey on my network rack. Now, keep in mind the network rack is constantly a work in progress until we actually finish our basement. So, it's actually not mounted to a wall. It's sitting on a shelf, but whatever. It works. It works for me. And you can see the Ubiquiti CloudKey sitting there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the IP address that is set up for my CloudKey. So first thing that we would do if we were going to set this up is we would have to actually configure the CloudKey. So I'm going to go in here and go to configure, and I'm going to enter in my username and password. All right, and we are on the main page here, page for the CloudKey device. So you can see, you can give your CloudKey a name. It's going to show you the uptime, the software version of the device itself, and then the Unifi version that it's running. It's going to give you the MAC address, the system time and date, disk space available. I think this is really interesting. So you can see that the device itself has a total of 10.36 gigabytes of storage space on it. And then the SD card has 7.18 gigabytes of storage space on it. Now, you can enable auto backup, which I believe is set on by default. You can enable auto backup of your network settings, which I highly recommend doing that. You've got plenty of space to do it. Now, if you're using your CloudKey to manage more than one site or a lot of networking products, your disk space may fill up a little quicker than normal, especially depending on how frequently you're backing up. But what I'm going to do now is go over to the configuration tab, and it's very, very basic. So you can go in here and name your device, set your time zone, allow the reset button on the device itself to be on or off, so you can actually disable the reset button on the device, and then you can go ahead and give your networking settings. Currently I have it set on DHCP. I do want to give it a static IP address from the router, but I'm not quite there yet. So you can set this as DHCP with fallbacks. So just want to note that. And then going to the maintenance tab, this is where you can go ahead and update your firmware, set up any type of power maintenance, changing your username, changing your password, starting or stopping the Unifi service, and kind of have everything set up that way. So that is really it for the configuration of the CloudKey. It truly is plug and play. So now that we have the CloudKey configured, I want to go ahead and show you what my network looks like now that the CloudKey is installed. So I'm going to go again to the CloudKey IP address, and now I'm going to hit manage my devices using my Unifi controller. So again, I'm going to have to enter my username and password. All right, now this is going to look a little maybe odd on your screen because I'm actually using a 21:9 aspect ratio monitor, and I have it scaled down to 1920 by 1080. So things might look a little wide or small on the screen, but I'm going to try and focus on these pieces for you. So this is my network. This is kind of the dashboard for your home network. I'm not currently using the Unifi security gateway. I think that's going to probably be the next purchase. It's going to be nice to be able to have information about the routing in my cloud controller. But for now, I'm actually using the Ubiquiti Edge Router X. So that's kind of what I'm using. That's what I'm using right now for my routing. And then I'm just using an unmanaged switch. I think it's a TP-Link switch, a 24-port switch, not PoE. So if you did have the USG, you would have information on your ISP load, your internet capacity, information on your gateway and routing, and then if you had any Unifi switches, that would show up under the switch section. Then it's going to show you your access points. So this is telling me that I've got 3 client groups with 14 wireless clients. Over here under clients, it's going to tell me that I have 14 clients and 0 guests on my network. And I'll talk a bit about the guest network setup in a moment. Underneath that, you're going to see the traffic distribution across the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz spectrum. It's going to tell you the channels, and it's also going to kind of give you the health of those channels. So you can see that my 5 gigahertz network is currently working off of channel 36 with 8 clients connected to it, and then my 2.4 gigahertz channel is working off channels 1 through 3 with 6 clients connecting to it. Scrolling down, you do have a Wi-Fi metrics section. You can create your own dashboards if you would like, but I find these to be very adequate. So you can filter last 24 hours, last day. Let's just go with the last 7 days since I've had this connected. And it's going to be all access points because I currently have 1. I'm probably going to be adding a second access point to give us better coverage in the backyard. And this is going to tell you the retry rate is by default here. If I tab over, it's going to tell me airtime by AP, and then it's going to tell me drop packets. So you can see that I had some drop packet issues let's see here, around 12 a.m. on the 8th, and some drop packet issues around 12 a.m. on the 11th. So kind of interesting that we're seeing drop packets around the same time, but that allows me to do maybe some troubleshooting. It does not seem to be a huge issue, so I'm not really concerned about it. And then if we go back, I'm going to take this back to the retry rate here. Now at the bottom, it's going to tell you wireless clients. So it's going to give you, here's a bar graph of the wireless clients connected over the last 7 days. And then here's a graph for how long it took those clients to associate to the network. And then on the very left-hand side here at the bottom, you can see anomalies, which there are no anomalies, and then association failures by type. You can Google some more information about these association failures. There's really nothing to be concerned about here. A lot of the times the devices just kind of time out. So that's where we're at for the dashboard. If we go over to statistics, we're going to get some more information about the network. You can see that my access point here, which is an AP-ACLR, has distributed 54.1 gigabytes of traffic for 14 clients, with my most active client so far being my Apple TV in my master bedroom. And the longest connected client has been my Ecobee, and then you're also going to see the download and upload traffic for those devices. So you can see that definitely the Ecobee is not using a lot of bandwidth, but the master bedroom certainly is. Under recent activity, you can see traffic in different line graphs. It's a lot of nice little features here. Up in the top left, you're going to see under wireless clients, you're going to see that I have 6 clients connected to my IoT SSID network. And then I have 8 clients connected to just my generic general SSID. And then between those 14 clients, how they are split up across the spectrum. And this one's got 6 on the 2.4 gigahertz band and 5 on the, 8 on the 5 gigahertz band. Moving along to my map. Now this is something that maybe I'll work on. It's kind of a neat feature, but I think it is a little wonky if you have only one item and if there's some anomalies in your home. But basically, this is a floor plan of my home that I got from the appraisal. And we have the access point in a stairwell between the basement and the first floor. So this is our first floor of our home. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the coverage layer. Here's the 2 gigahertz coverage and the 5 gigahertz coverage. And you can see that there is some interesting looking patterns here, and that's because you can actually add walls in your map. So our garage here, we added concrete walls. So you can see that the concrete pretty much blocks most of the signal here. And the best signal that you're going to be getting is it within the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. Now, one of the things that I haven't been able to figure out yet, and I don't know if I can actually do it, is I want to see how this first floor placement of the access point impacts my second floor, which you can see it doesn't really transfer over here, so I'm not going to really be able to see too much about my first floor access point on my second floor. So I might research that a little more. I'm not super concerned about it, but it's a neat little feature, especially if you have a lot of hardware at a particular site. So I'm going to move over to devices. So you can see the only unified device I have other than the CloudKey is the access point. So if I click on the access point here, we can see some information about the access point. This is stuff that you will all be used to seeing in your unified controller. Information on the clients, which I can get from an easier setting in a moment. And then we have some statistics on the access point as well. It looks like the memory is about 60%. User count is doing okay. Channelization, all these fun things. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. There is an upgrade that I have to give to the firmware. And then I'm going to move over to clients. This is going to show the clients that are connected to my Wi-Fi network. So I do have 3 different client groups working off of my access point. I have a generic SSID for my home devices. I have a hidden IoT network for my IoT devices, and those are protected by firewall rules. And then I have a guest network that does some bandwidth limitations and some uptime limitations as well. So I do have 3 different networks. So this is going to tell me what networks these clients are connected to, how their activity has been, what's their activity up, their activity down, what's their uptime. I can block the IP address here. I can force a reconnect as well. Now you're going to see that I only really have 14 clients right now. That's because I've recently put more hardwire into my house. So I'm trying to hardwire things that are going to be used as much as possible. But there's also some clients that have yet to connect to this new wireless network. Mainly, guests that come over quite frequently that I actually allow on my regular network so they don't have the bandwidth issues. We do have one Xbox that does need to be wirelessly connected, but has yet to connect. It hasn't been turned on yet, and a couple other gaming devices, portable gaming devices as well. So this is just a quick overview of the client screen, and then finally there's going to be an insight screen. It's going to give you a little bit of information like neighboring access points, how strong they are, what their SSIDs are, if they're hidden or not, who the manufacturer is. So it looks like someone around here has Aero devices. Wonder where those come from there. And the signal strength of those and when they were last seen. We can go to known clients. We can go to, let's see here, past guest authorizations, which should be none. Controller logs, which those are going to take a little bit of time to get from the controller. But overall, I think that this particular CloudKey setup that I have going on here is really good because a lot of times I'm not sitting in front of my desktop when I need to monitor items for my network. It's usually I'm sitting in front of my phone or my tablet, and having the Unifi app on my phone and utilizing the CloudKey to figure out what's going on with my network and get alerts has been very helpful for me. Yeah, I'm a residential customer, so to speak, but I'm also kind of a prosumer when it comes to this. So having those items really kind of gives me the nerd feeling, but it also gives me really great control over my home network. It allows me to secure it how I would like it. It allows me to customize it any way that I would like, and it works pretty darn seamlessly. So I'm really happy with the CloudKey. And again, this currently retails for $106 US. So if you're interested in this, definitely something to check out, especially if you have more than one Unifi product in your home. If you have any questions about the device or my experience with it, please let me know in the comments, and you know, we'll see if I can get those answered for you. So until next time, it's Reclaimer with 2XP Gaming. We'll talk to you soon.